The desert did not forgive weakness, and that was the first lesson Eli Mercer learned the day he crossed into Apache land with nothing but a dying horse, a broken rifle, and a past he could no longer outrun. The sun hung low and merciless, bleeding gold across the mesas, turning every breath into fire and every step into a question of survival. Eli had been a soldier once, then a scout, then a man without a name worth keeping, moving west because the east held too many graves. He had heard the stories about the Apache, about how the land itself fought beside them, about women who rode like spirits and vanished like smoke, but stories had never stopped him before. What stopped him now was the sudden silence. Birds gone, wind held, the kind of quiet that meant eyes were on you. When his horse finally collapsed, Eli slid to the sand beside it, pressing his forehead to the animal's neck, whispering a thank you that tasted like goodbye. That was when the shadow fell over him, sharp as a blade, and a woman's voice, slow, steady, unafraid, cut through the heat. She spoke in English, but it was shaped by another tongue, another world. If you die here, white man, the desert will take your bones. If you live, you will owe something. Eli looked up slowly, hand hovering near his useless rifle, and saw her standing there like the land had shaped her itself, dark, hair braided tight, eyes black and burning, posture straight as a drawn bow. She wore no fear. She wore decision. He had faced death before, but never one that spoke so calmly. "What do you want?" he asked, voice cracked from thirst. The woman did not smile. "Not yet," she said. First, live, she knelt, poured water between his lips, and when he drank, the world tilted and went black. He woke to the rhythm of hooves, his body swaying, arms bound loosely but not cruelly, pressed against a warm, powerful frame. He realized with a jolt that he was on a horse, her horse, and she was riding it, guiding it with a confidence born of years and bloodline. Her back was solid against his chest, her presence undeniable, not soft but fierce, not yielding but alive. The desert rushed past them, dusk bleeding into night, stars cracking open above like ancient fires. Eli's mind swam between gratitude and warning, instinct screaming that survival always carried a price. Hours passed, or minutes. He could not tell until they reached a hidden canyon where firelight flickered and shadows moved like living things. Apache camp. The woman dismounted first, steadying him when his legs failed. She spoke rapidly in her language now, her voice carrying authority, and the murmurs that followed were sharp, questioning, dangerous. He looked at Eli as one might look at a wounded animal, considering mercy, considering necessity. The woman met his gaze and did not look away.
She said something that caused a stir, a sudden hush. The elder's brow furrowed. He looked from her to Eli and back again. Finally, he nodded once. The decision was not kindness. It was something heavier. They gave Eli water, food, and time, 3 gifts more precious than gold. As strength returned, understanding followed. The woman's name was Naya. She was not just Apache. She was the daughter of a respected warrior, a woman who rode, hunted, and chose her own path in a world where every choice carried consequence. She had saved him not out of mercy alone, but purpose. As night deepened and the fire cracked low, she came to him where he sat wrapped in a blanket, staring into flames that reminded him too much of burned towns and marching orders. "You crossed into land where you do not belong," she said. "Men like you bring soldiers. Soldiers bring death." Eli did not argue. He had worn that uniform. He had followed those orders. "I'm done with that life," he said quietly. Naya studied him like one studies a blade, testing its truth. By the way it reflected light. "Many men say that when they are tired," she replied. "Few mean it." The fire popped, sparks lifting into the dark. Eli swallowed. "What do you want from me?" he asked again. This time she did not deflect. She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the faint scar along her jaw, the strength in her hands. "Tomorrow," she said, "my people will decide if you live among us for a time, or if you never leave this canyon." Her eyes locked onto his. "I can sway that decision." He felt the weight of it settle in his chest. "And the price?" Her voice dropped, not seductive but intense. "Take me on your horse," she said slowly, deliberately, "and I will give you something no woman can give you." Silence stretched between them, thick with meaning. It was not a promise of flesh. It was a promise of passage, of alliance. of survival bought with trust, danger, and something far deeper than desire. That night, Eli did not sleep. He lay awake listening to Apache songs drift through the canyon, feeling the earth breathe beneath him, knowing that whatever path lay ahead would burn the last of who he used to be away. At dawn, Naya returned with 2 horses. One was strong, scarred, battle-tested. She mounted it with practiced ease and looked down at him, waiting. Around them, the camp watched. This was not a private bargain. This was a challenge spoken without words. Eli swung onto the horse behind her, feeling the animal's power coil beneath them as they rode out into the open desert. Wind tearing at them, Naya spoke so only he could hear. "What I give you," she said, "is not my body. It is my protection, my name, my truth. And if you betray it, the desert will finish what I began." Eli tightened his grip. Not on her, but on the moment. On the fragile thread of a future he hadn't believed he deserved. For the first time in years, he did not feel like he was running. He felt like he was being
tested, and far behind them, the canyon swallowed their tracks. Eli rode beside Naya not as a captive, but as a man marked by her word. Whine no longer sounded like accusation. They rode for hours, the sun climbing and burning away the last illusions. Eli cared about escape and neutrality. Apache land did not allow bystanders. Every footprint mattered. Every silence meant something. When they finally stopped at a high ridge overlooking a narrow valley, Naya dismounted and scanned the horizon with the calm intensity of someone reading a language written in dust and shadow. Eli followed her gaze and felt the pressure in the air, the sense that the world was leaning forward. Soldiers would come. He knew it the way a man knows an old enemy by smell. Naya turned to him then, eyes hard, not unkind. "What I give you," she said again, slower this time, "is not shelter. It is purpose. You will ride with me today so my people see your spine does not bend when fear arrives." Below them, Apache scouts moved like ghosts. And beyond that, far too far to see, a column of blue coats would soon test the valley's patience. Eli swallowed the old reflex, the urge to command, to dominate, and instead nodded. He was done being a hammer. If he survived this, it would be because he learned how to be stone. Back at the camp, the elders gathered, and Naya spoke with a fire that burned even brighter in daylight. She told them of the soldier's path, of how the land whispered of rifles and boots, of how Eli's knowledge could save lives if his loyalty held. Eli stepped forward without being asked. He spoke plainly, no speeches, no begging. He described formations, patrol habits. He admitted what he had been. He did not ask forgiveness. When he finished, the canyon was quiet again. The elder with flint eyes studied him for a long time, then looked to Naya. "If he breaks," the elder said, "his bones will feed the crows." Naya inclined her head. "If he breaks," she replied, "I will not look away." That was the moment. Eli understood the weight of her bargain. What she offered was not safety. It was accountability sharpened into a blade. The soldiers came at noon, heat shimmering around them, confidence riding high because they believed the valley empty. Eli rode with Naya at the front of a thin Apache line, heart hammering not with fear but with clarity. He pointed where scouts should move, where shadows would swallow sound, where impatience would betray the men he once called brothers. The first shots echoed like thunder cracking bone. Chaos followed planned chaos. The Apache did not fight to conquer. They fought to endure. They vanished and reappeared, turned the land into an ally, forced the soldiers to chase ghosts until certainty bled out of them. Eli did not fire unless he had to. When he did, it was to break pursuit, not to prove anything. He felt something inside him loosen and old knot of violence unraveling into something quieter, truer, not celebration. Naya dismounted beside him, her face streaked with dust and resolve. She met his eyes, searching for the crack she had promised to watch for. That night, the camp sang for the fallen and for the living who would carry their names forward. "You think what I promised is done," she said softly. He shook his head. "I think it's just begun." She studied the flames, then him. "What no woman can give," she said, "is not desire without cost. It is belonging without erasure. I will not make you Apache. I will not let you hide. I will stand between you and the lie that you can be nothing." Her words landed deeper than any wound. Eli felt the truth of them settle like a mantle. He was still himself, scarred, responsible, awake, but now he stood inside a story larger than his regret. Days passed. Scouts confirmed the soldiers had retreated, shaken and cautious. Trust grew the way it always does, slow, earned, defended. Eli learned the land's names. The land learned his steps. Naya rode with him often, not ahead, not behind, but beside. When they argued, it was sharp and honest. When they were silent, it was because words would have cheapened the moment. "You kept your seat," she said. "You kept your word." Eli exhaled a breath he'd been holding for years. "So did you." The sun rose, and with it the knowledge that survival was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of responsibility. If this journey stirred something in you, if you want stories where strength meets consequence, where promises are paid in truth and courage, subscribe to the channel and ride with us into the next legend. The desert has many voices left, and this is only one of them.